everyone. Welcome to Girl Meets Christ podcast.
This is your host, Ellie.
And Ella. Today we are going to be having Ellie's boyfriend and Ellie's little brother on the podcast with us. This is Tyler.
Yo.
And this is Logan.
Yo.
Okay, so today we're trying out something new and we're going to be doing just audio. So today we're going to be talking about the difficult topic of pornography, and we're going to be interviewing Tyler and Logan, asking them some questions, and kind of hearing their experience.
So more of like a Q&A kind of.
Yeah, so this is more of an interview style podcast. So before we get started today with our topic, we're going to be thanking our sponsors. The sponsor for this episode is Recovery Meets You, which is a recovery program that helps addicts from multiple different things, and the one that we are going to be talking about today is how it can help you with porn. So it has accountability reminders and check-ins throughout the day and throughout the week as kind of a form of encouragement. And you can also connect your loved ones and your mentors to the app so that they get reminders and kind of have access to checking in on your progress. And this is a great way to hold yourself accountable and also to make progress in your recovery journey. Thank you so much to Recovery Meets You for sponsoring this episode. So we're going to be doing a brief little intro of our guests so that you guys can get to know them before we get into our questions of our topic today. So this is our little brother, Logan.
What's up?
Logan, tell us about yourself a little bit.
I'm 16. That's it. I'm Logan. I'm 16. I also am the tech guy for them. I manage all of their equipment.
Okay, how do you know us?
I'm Ellie's little brother.
And kind of Ella's little brother too.
Friend, brother thing.
Friend's brother thing.
Okay, so Logan, share a little bit about your testimony and how you came to Jesus.
Ellie convinced me to get baptized. I was gonna do it a month after, but she convinced me to do it that month, and then I started going to, what's it called? Youth group.
Mm-hmm.
I read the Bible every night. I pray every night. I'm pursuing the relationship.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's been really great to watch him grow in his faith a lot the last probably 6 months since me and Ellie started pursuing it a little bit more as well.
Yes.
Watching him grow in his faith too has been really great. But yeah, now we're gonna move on to Tyler.
We also have my boyfriend here with us as one of our guests. Tyler, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 18 and I met Ellie through one of my classes at school. And ever since we became a thing.
Now they're dating.
Now we are dating.
And tell us a little bit about your walk with Christ and where your relationship is at with him.
It's been a struggle, trying to read every day. But recently I try to pray in the morning. I try to read like 3 pages of the Bible each day. That's my goal. And sometimes I pray at night and I try to pray regularly. That's where I'm at.
That is awesome. Okay. So we have a couple questions for you guys today. So I'm going to start off with mine, I think, and then Ellie will go into hers. So my first question, and either of you can decide who's going to answer first type of a thing, is when did you start watching porn and how did you first get introduced to it?
I think it was 6th grade, and I don't know how it's just such a common thing now.
Yeah.
I think that's what introduced me to it, just basic school.
Yeah.
Society.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really
just knowing it's a thing and then going there, watching it and then continuing.
Yeah.
I got introduced to it. I think I was just browsing the web and just I think I clicked on an ad, like a ad I didn't know at the time because I was young and I really didn't know technology or the internet like that. And so that's when I started, and I believe I was around 14 years old.
That's sad to see how young it affects people too. All right. Now Ellie's turn for a question.
So I'm wondering, did your addiction, did you notice that it was affecting other areas of your life?
I think it affected my life, how I viewed other women, girls at the time.
Yeah, definitely viewing women and
living with females too, girls in your family too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changed my perspective at the time of how I viewed girls, and it's affected my life that way.
I think that was one of the biggest things, how you view women.
It's like objectifying them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Because that makes your mind go straight to that's what the woman is.
That makes
It
sense.
ruins your
You like
perception.
you like
Yeah.
see that as a function rather than
Yeah.
like
yeah,
a person, like
Yeah.
an item.
And it takes a lot of commitment to stop seeing women that way. I feel like
and
after you do.
I also feel like the addiction like it drained my energy too.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
I'm for sure more tired and
Yeah, there's like a lot of chemical stuff that happens with porn too, like as addictive as like drugs and stuff. Which is, I mean, that's like it's scary.
Yeah.
So would
The
you
stuff
say
I've
it
done
kind of took charge over your life, like it kind of like ruled your life
Yeah, you were
for that
constantly
time,
thinking about it.
yeah, it's like hard to break that addiction. But
Like thinking when it's gonna happen, when you're going to do it.
That
I
makes
Yeah.
think
sense.
that's yeah.
Like it's always on your
trying to
mind.
like fit it into your
Yeah.
schedule. I'm also wondering what made you guys want to quit watching porn or like end this addiction. What was kind of your turning point?
Definitely reading the Bible. I looked up verses. I always do still, like, is this good? Is this bad? Really going to the Bible for direction. And the Bible definitely says that that's bad and everything that surrounds it.
like
So,
when I was doing it at the time, I didn't know it was like what was right or wrong. And so when I started like learning more about the Bible and like growing my knowledge in that, I learned that it was wrong and that I had to break that addiction.
So
Yeah,
you kind of like changed your heart by like getting into the word, would you say?
yeah.
What is one thing that you would tell someone who hasn't started watching it and who is interested in watching it? Because like it is big in society and kind of their like friends are encouraged to watch
definitely how hard it is to quit. It's really just a mental game. And think about the friends that are encouraging you to do that and look at their life from a different perspective. Think
Thanks.
about what they're doing.
it. Then reflect on
Yeah. Because that's definitely not the only thing they're doing. If they're encouraging you to do that, that's definitely not the only thing that they're doing.
It's like following the crowd.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
just don't do it because someone else has done it or says it's like feels good or whatever. Just do the right thing.
Which is easier said than done, but
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
not following the crowd.
And way too people get too deep into it.
Right, like
Yeah.
if you haven't started, I mean, I can say this from like any kind of addiction point, but like if you haven't started it and people are kind of glamorizing it to you or like making it sound good, there's always a dark side to
Yeah.
addiction, like of any kind that is not going to be shown as obviously.
Mm-hmm.
When your friends are like, "Oh, you should try this," I mean, they're not going to tell you about the anxiety that they're experiencing or the depression that they're experiencing.
For sure.
Anxiety takes over
Yeah.
your life.
Like they're not going to share that side of it with you as well with any kind of addiction, and so kind of like seeing it then more than just the glamorous, like kind of take the flashing lights out of it and make it simple again and kind of think about it and process it before just
Like take
making
a
a big
step.
decision.
Or I feel like if you're interested in it, like just start like think of something else.
Yeah, find a different something to get obsessed with. Like I feel like, and that comes with any kind of negative thing in your life. Of like, if you're going to be doing something that's going to be a negative thing, or it's something that you currently are doing that's a negative thing or addicted. I feel like put that energy and
Into
that
something
power into
else.
something productive.
Yeah.
Like you could be doing something that's going to end up like giving back to you at some point, and like investing in yourself and investing in other people with that energy that goes into negative things. But I mean, like I can't really speak on like the actual porn side of things, but just talking about things that are similar, kind of just addictions in general.
Yeah.
Another sign that it's bad is people that have that addiction don't talk about it. Like if you ask them if they did it, if you ask me when I did it, if I did it, I would say no.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
nobody wants to admit that because it's
Yeah.
embarrassing.
You kind of don't want to really bring that to the
Yeah.
light.
Hmm.
I agree.
If you're currently addicted to something, I feel like you don't bring it up because you don't want to get out of it. You don't want people to try to tell you it's bad because you know it's bad.
Yeah.
But you're just that's why you're doing it secretively.
But like that's like I feel like that's like the first step, would you say, is like
Except
accepting it and like sharing it with someone. Because
Yeah, but you have to share it with the right person.
yeah.
Because some people will go like gross, ew, but you can't do that. You have to support
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Or like talk to
So-
someone that has quit.
Yeah.
so that they
knowing
understand it.
who to go to, but like find someone
Yeah.
like trusted and
Mhm.
for accountability.
In any addiction, I think it's important to have, if you're trying to quit, to have accountability and to have mentors as well.
Mm-hmm.
And especially mentors who have been there before, because how are you gonna take advice of someone telling you to quit drinking alcohol if they've never had a sip of alcohol in their life? They don't know what it's
Blind
like.
can't lead the blind.
Like, you can't pull someone out of an addiction if you haven't had that addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say the word can't, because I don't want to be that like direct about it, but I think it's gonna be more difficult for you to take advice from someone who hasn't been there before when it really comes down to it. Because if you've seen someone going through that and then able to come out on the other side, then it kind of gives you hope.
Yeah.
And they have a path
Right.
that you can follow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like they actually have a plan and kind of more experience rather than just someone being like, oh, you shouldn't watch porn, it's bad, you should stop doing that.
Yeah.
Let's be good Christians now. Like we all are gonna sin, and a big part of that, like, I feel like the Christian community doesn't talk about things like porn enough and stuff, because it's like, oh, yuck, we're not supposed to talk about that, we're supposed to stay all pure and stuff. It's like, okay, well, we're not all pure, we're not in heaven yet.
That's
and
not how
so
that always works.
yeah, so bringing
Especially
attention
with the
and light,
world we live in.
bringing attention and light to those tougher topics so that we can get through them together as believers and as family, and not just neglecting the topic altogether. So
yeah.
I have a good one. How did you guys resensitize yourself to seeing? Because I know there's porn. There's like literal like videos porn, and then there's also just like an over sexualization of people in the world as well. On like we talked about it in our modesty episode of billboards and all that stuff. How did you guys resensitize yourself to that so that you weren't like normalized by it? You know what I mean? Like,
Because
how did you like
I'm a
sensitize
girl,
yourself
and
to
like
seeing that again?
even I understand that has to be difficult.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
because you probably get desensitized when you're seeing it to the extent it's like fully naked.
Are we talking about like social media or just like in general?
I think both, yeah, like in general, which includes social media. Just anywhere you're seeing.
Like, do you mean like
you walk
sexual
past
intent?
the
The thing is, I feel like I don't get excited by that anymore. Like it ruined it.
So going through that addiction and that dark part kind of like turned you away from even being like, okay, so that makes sense.
So a heart change.
Or like renewing your mind.
Yes.
Like I don't want to say this, but I've seen porn again after I quit, and I don't get like,
Doesn't do nothing.
yeah, it doesn't do anything for me anymore.
Probably because it now is tied more to a bad thing in your head
Yeah,
rather than that
and
positive.
behind,
Right.
not
Or
right
than
now.
that positive release, it probably has more of a negative release now.
Yeah.
That
Whenever I see like, like things trying to like tempt me like that, I just don't put my mind towards it. I just keep continuing.
Yeah.
Keep
whatever you're
forward.
Yeah. Whatever you're filling yourself with, or I feel like entertaining too, is what kind of takes over. So like, if you're recovering from an addiction and you entertain a small part of that addiction has the entrance to creep back into your life. Where if you stay away from all pieces and temptation when it comes to that, like, you don't have that possibility for it to come back into your life.
Yeah.
What is one thing you guys, as like being recovered or in the process of recovery, what is one thing you guys would say to someone who's currently struggling as kind of like encouragement or like advice that was helpful for you guys in quitting?
I have a book that actually has a lot of good methods. It's called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've read it. It has a lot of good like methods.
With anything, honestly, not even just like porn addiction. I feel like you can apply that anywhere.
The book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. So if you guys want to read that, it is like an off-white cover with kind of gold lettering. You can get it at Target, Audible, eBay,
Barnes and
Noble, so anywhere that you'd find books. That's a good resource for those of you wanting to quit porn and you guys said it's kind of good for
anything.
Any addiction.
Just like replacing habits that you don't want with better ones.
Like I think
that'd be very helpful.
One of the methods was find your triggers, find what causes you to do that, and then remove it from your life.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like if you feel tempted or anything, like I would just like leave the room or like do something like physical,
Like
Yeah.
get up,
get up
get
for
moving.
sure.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard getting physical energy out when it comes
Yeah.
to that kind of thing for any kind of sexual like temptation.
Yeah.
If you can put your physical energy towards something else, that helps.
Run.
With, yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you're a person with a lot of temptation with porn or anything sexual, I feel like, I mean, obviously going towards God, but then also like doing something healthy for your body and mind is gonna help a lot too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think that
working
helps.
working out completely erased that
Yeah.
Yeah.
feeling that I needed to do that.
That's cool.
That's definitely a problem because I feel like a lot of middle schoolers don't work out or do enough of
They're
their
not active,
activity.
and
Yeah,
so they're trying to get something out some
hmm
way. That makes sense. Yeah. You have
I
all
think
these
I
like
think
built up
that
hormones and just
now
like
that I realize, I
energy.
think that might be
Mhm.
where like sitting in your room encourages that. Like just sitting at your computer and sitting there all after
Right.
school. Like you go home and sit at your computer.
It's like
Think
you run out of things to do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you get bored.
Yeah, that's why screens have kind of ruined our generation. I feel like we have definitely added struggle with all of that than generations before us have ever had. We literally have everything at our fingertips. Every negative thing we have at our
Yeah.
fingertips.
And the access
It
to
can
it.
be used positively
Yeah, I was
too,
gonna say every
but
positive thing we also have at our fingertips, but it's like we don't.
there's always like
use
a
that.
bad side to it.
Yeah.
But I feel like negative is so much easier to go to
Mhm.
than positive.
My mom has always told me that it's easier for darkness to pull light than for lightness to like light up dark type of a thing.
Mhm.
Just with like she said, like be careful with the people you're surrounding yourself with because it's easier to be pulled into the dark than it is to pull someone out of the dark.
Yeah.
So you have to be strong within your light if you're gonna kind of put yourself in a place like that. All right. How did you guys quit?
Being disciplined and like taking instruction, like what the Bible says, and actually like
Yeah.
following, because that's just wise at the end of the day. But yeah, just being disciplined and trying your best not to.
hmm I think definitely doing research too, because I did research, but when I was doing research, I tried to find sources that said that it's good. So you
So
really,
you're looking for validation
hmm
for what you were doing.
That makes sense.
and then when like, you really need to watch videos that you think are right. Like I only watched videos that made me want to do it, and then I watched videos that didn't make me want to do it, and that's where I stopped.
Yeah, that's true. I remember seeing videos that saying like the positives of it and all that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, porn is different than masturbation.
Okay.
I thought of them as two different things.
That's helpful.
I stopped porn and then I stopped masturbation. That seemed like it was a lot easier for me.
Well, actually, I kind of thought them were just the same. As
Yeah.
long as like when I stopped watching porn, I stopped masturbating.
I tried doing one
So
without the
maybe it's
other.
like different for every
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I mean, find your
Yeah.
method
Right.
because everyone's
Yeah.
different.
But I think that's helpful that you guys do have different takes on it because
Yeah.
it can show like if you guys were both to agree and someone's like, "Oh, I've tried that and it didn't work," it's
Mhm.
like it's gonna be for everyone type of a thing. But it's like for that type of thing, it's probably going to be different depending on the person, depending on like what works.
And I think I definitely caused myself to think of it bad because that like the last few times I did it, I cried after. I was like, this
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, you just like felt bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like guilt set in.
hmm
Yeah.
Like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Like, I had a streak of 1 week, and then I did, and I was like, why?
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I
Right.
had all the
Those sober
temptation,
streaks are really
But what's hard is that like when you're trying to keep track of like the days that you don't do it, it makes you want to do it.
because you're thinking.
yeah.
Yeah.
When I stopped
So like
counting is
even thinking
like I
about
didn't
it.
count on my phone, but I counted in my head, and after I got past like a month and a half, I stopped counting, and it just stopped. It just stopped.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's a good method.
So you guys feel like more like free now? Like without having
Yeah.
to yeah.
Definitely
worry about.
more free.
What are the actual tangible benefits that you've seen since you quit, like in your life, like that
Yeah.
that you've changed in life?
Oh, for sure. I got more energy.
Yeah, more energy.
So,
It feels normal to talk to girls now.
Oh,
yeah.
So you
that
kind of
makes
got
sense.
That's true.
Yeah.
that skill back.
That makes
Yeah, it's not
sense.
skill, but
But like you like
mhm.
Just having like a social conversation.
oh,
And not have to like see everyone as, oh, that's sex. Like
Because
it's not
when
offensive.
you see a woman like that, you think of that when you're talking to her, and it seems hard to find topics to talk
Yeah.
about when you're just thinking about that.
Yeah,
oh,
that's a really good point. Well, thank you guys for sharing.
yeah.
This is vulnerable, and I appreciate you guys sharing and feeding into other people as well. Ooh.
The guy that did that.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's like one guy that like said all these.
Oh,
things.
what's it, brother?
Is there a difference between like advice and motivation?
Advice and motivation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think advice is like motivation is like you can do it. This is what's gonna help be on the motivation's almost like showing the encouragement that they'll chase. I feel like in my head that's what motivation is. And then advice is how do you get to that motivation? So like advice is like
Oh, yeah.
I would
Like
start
motivation
by
is like the drive to
the goal,
do
the
it.
drive, and then
Okay.
advice is more of those step-by-step walkthrough of like this is how I quit, I stopped doing this, and then I stopped doing that, like more of like literal tactile like,
Motivation's there, advice is this.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Motivation is like you can do it. And like you got this. This is what's the grass is green on this side type of a thing. And then advice is like
This is how you
nitty
can
gritty,
do it.
like actual
Mhm.
words, actual based on your stuff. So yeah.
But do you agree like all addictions can be broken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think as believers we should because I mean if
Yeah.
Christ can break chains, there's the chains of addiction and those are things that need to be prayed against as well within your
Yeah.
household. I think it's something might be completely different, but I just like thought to bring this up. Something that has been such a thing on my heart lately is like praying over wherever you are. Like wherever there is a spot of addiction,
Yeah.
you need to be like seriously praying in that spot and praying over that and praying against any spirit of temptation, of addiction, of like praying against those things in Jesus' name, like praying for those things and against those things.
Yeah.
Over people's houses. You know, if you're in an unbeliever's house, that's like your family or something. Pray over that space. Pray for protection for them. Pray for their salvation. Like the power of prayer is so important and something that I don't like. Even as believers, I don't think is talked about enough. Like we're like, oh, we can do this, this, and this, and it's like, what about prayer? What about like genuinely just leaning on the power of Jesus? And I think so. Yeah, I think all addictions can be broken if you like lean on Christ, like truly, and just seek Him and pursue Him, and trust that like even if it's hard, it's like He in the end of the day, as long as you put your trust in Him, He has the power to do that if you are willing to let Him and you are willing to do what you need to do, and seek the counseling and the mentorship and the prayer and the time with Him and all of those things. So yes, I do think that all addictions are breakable.
What I noticed is that like I feel like God works the best in my weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I don't know.
That's true.
I was just talking about that with my friend the other day. She had just gone through a breakup, and we were just talking about. She's like, I already feel like I'm getting stronger in my relationship with Jesus. And I said, I feel like it's crazy how we have to hit these rock bottom points.
Yeah.
We
To
always have
move
to-
out
right.
of the way and let God take.
I mean, my testimony started when I
Yeah.
got to a rock bottom point that I never thought I was going to get to, and I was disgusted with myself, and I was like, I need to change something. And I feel like every time, even since that main one, that I've kind of like stepped away or like started feeling myself fade away, I'd kind of hit a not as deep of a rock bottom point, but like
a
something
little
that was
bit
like
of a-
holy crap, I'm getting too far. And then it like it's just that like it's funny how we have to hit those points in order to turn to God.
Yeah.
But in those is what He turns around and makes so beautiful. Like in that dark spot and in those struggles, it's kind of where He changes it for His glory.
Oh, and the other thing is, I feel like they're not connected. Like Christianity and not masturbating is not connected. Because I felt like because I grew with my faith as I um, stopped masturbating. But before I was a Christian, I didn't believe in God, obviously. So I was like, that's a Christian thing. Why would I stop masturbating if I don't believe in Christ?
Yeah.
So
kind of taking it from a standpoint of even if you don't believe in God, even if you aren't strong in your faith, just what's bad about masturbation and porn.
Yeah.
Just as a human,
It's
like
still
it's
a good thing to know.
yeah.
I think it
So I feel like
ruins
that's
your
portrayed
relationship
as
with other people.
I feel like it's portrayed as Christianity is not masturbating is Christianity.
Yeah.
Belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's the same thing with saving yourself for marriage or like anything. It's people like because I have heard of like unbelievers or like non-believers who do save themselves from marriage.
Yeah.
Or like who just don't believe in like sleeping around and stuff. Because I feel like I've definitely heard of that, but that is important. I think to bring up of even if you're not a believer, like this still applies to just porn in general. I mean, we as believers can back it up with the Bible and with what God says and all of that, but it also comes down to
And we can say it helps. It does. We can say it helps. But if people are like not believers, they never want to be, they don't want to be, but they want to stop, then
This is
you
what
definitely can without
Well,
that. I think it had something in it that said, um, people that were at war in Vietnam were addicted to heroin, and when they came back to the U.S., they weren't addicted anymore because there's nothing similar between them, their
so
environments.
yeah, environment. Yeah, that was a big.
Oh,
That was
So
change of
yeah,
environment. That's
they had
interesting.
no addiction to meth, or what was it? What did I say?
Heroin.
It's heroin. They had a huge addiction there at war, and then when they stopped war and they weren't in Vietnam anymore. They had no addiction.
That's interesting.
They changed their environment.
That's big.
So environment definitely changes it, I
Your
think.
You
surroundings.
can learn from that.
If you have not listened to that episode after this episode, I would highly recommend going and listening to or watching our surroundings episode. We talked a lot about how your surroundings affect your life and all of that stuff, and I think it's
Or
really
they
important to
influence
us.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this article says that before the age of 18, boys now have a 90% chance of being exposed to porn, whereas girls have a 60% chance.
Jeez.
Why do
Holy buckets.
why do you think that porn is targeted towards young men?
I feel like we have our test. What's the word? Testosterone.
Testosterone.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we're in.
That's how you guys are built.
More. That's what we're
Yeah.
called. Yes, and
Yeah.
we're more addicted to technology. I
Mm.
believe.
Yeah.
With like gaming and like all
Gaming.
that stuff.
True.
I do think you had a good point as far as like kids coming home and just being like stuck in their room
Yeah.
with their electronics. They're not going out and doing things. Like kids don't go out and play anymore.
I mean, it's that partially the parents' fault too.
Right. At that young of an age, being
Mm-hmm.
having access to
Have them
that.
outside.
Yeah, like if you have an iPad or an iPhone at that age, you literally have access to porn. There's
Yeah.
a Safari.
Mhm.
There's a
That's true.
Safari tab.
Like I feel like people are getting access to technology younger and younger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's also
Even
part of it.
not that. There was hentai stickers going on. If you guys know what that is, anime porn.
Oh.
But there was hentai stickers going around in middle school. Like not even selling them. People were just handing them out to people.
Is it like porn on the stick?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
anime porn. It's
Oh.
animated porn.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I've also heard so much about that, about like anime, like comparing like girls' bodies to like anime, and it's like insane because it's like it's not
yeah,
realistic
you
at
can
all.
make a completely unrealistic woman.
Yeah, and I've heard so many guys be like, oh, she's got anime like upper half, and I'm like, wow, that's derogatory and super nice of you
That's
to
why I
say
also
towards a female.
stopped watching anime is because like women in anime are portrayed as that.
Yeah,
With big titties.
just like
big
just
butt.
sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's so unrealistic too. I had a guy like say that
I
to me
didn't
one
even
time.
know
was
that
like,
was a thing, to be
really?
honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my friend's ex-boyfriend used to watch anime, and he used to always talk about it, and she did not have a big chest, and she would talk about it like, he talks about this stuff, and like, I'm not built like that, and I was like...
And that also makes like the girls feel like insecure, like they have to live up to something that they can't live up to.
This is a good question. I can't believe we didn't cover this, and I think it's because you guys aren't currently, so I didn't think of it. Is porn cheating?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've always thought about that, and I used to say no because someone that I had known had an addiction to porn, and we were discussing and he was recovering, so it's not like he was active, but he was still going back. He wasn't fully recovered, and me and him were discussing whether it was cheating or not. And he said that he felt like it was, but even in that wasn't enough to like make him stop. Until he got a girlfriend, and then that is kind of what pushed him to stop because he loved her so much. But I was like, is porn cheating? Like, you're not going and having sexual relations with someone else, you're not giving someone else attention, but you are giving someone else attention. And I think it's getting in between. I think it's I mean, we all agree that I think it's cheating.
It is cheating, yeah.
Because it's being unfaithful to your partner. And it's also, as a female, I was talking to a guy, like situation type thing, and he had like porn all over like his Instagram and just like Snap and stuff, like still getting stuff from girls, and I was like, that, like, it didn't even make me mad, it made me like genuinely hurt because I always I was crying because I felt like I had to live up to this, like the girls that he was liking with like these big butts and like stuff like that. I'm I just felt like I had to live up to that, and like I wasn't good enough of like, why does he have to look at these other girls? Like, am I not fulfilling that area for him? And so then, and he was like a believer too, so that's what made it so hard. Was I was like, is there something I'm missing? And it kind of goes like, it affects both in a relationship when porn gets in between.
If you like ask me that question like 2 years later or earlier, man, I would have said no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
So
like,
you're kind of like unaware of it at the time, or like you don't want to admit that it is
Mhm.
cheating because
Yeah, that
you
was
don't
even
want to own up to
right.
it.
That was even my thing as the girl is I was like, oh no, it's not cheating because I didn't want to think of it as cheating because the guys I liked
You
all
just didn't want
watched
to
it and stuff.
believe
Yeah,
it.
and I was like, no, that's
The
not
other thing
allowed.
is, I don't think social media, like, this is my not interested. It's just all women,
Yeah.
right? I click not interested,
It's
and
like
it shows you
stuff
more.
Oh, that makes sense.
So social media definitely does not help you.
Oh,
Yeah, like explore pages.
that's interesting.
So the
yeah,
explore
true.
page on Instagram is such. I mean, you guys can probably you
Oh,
hit the
yeah.
explore page. So the same guy, I was on his phone. He like literally had given me his phone to find something on Instagram, and I hit his explore page, and the entire thing was literally girls like in bikinis, like full on like BBLs, like model.
And the problem is, even, like, I clicked on them to say not interested,
Yeah,
and then it shows
the
you more
algorithm, like-
because you clicked on it.
Right.
Um,
My
I don't
brother,
want to see it.
Yeah.
my brother and his girlfriend even had that problem. Like my brother is completely faithful to his girlfriend and all that stuff, but she was on his explore page and she was like, "What the heck is this?" And he was like, "That's like I haven't clicked on that stuff." And it like ended up surfacing that it was going around where there was this like leak where it was like a normal video and then it just flashed to a girl's like under parts, and that was just being I'm like censoring things because I don't know the age of the people watching this stuff, but that was just being shown like just on random feed, and it's like even the guys that are trying to pursue a healthy lifestyle and away from this addiction, it's being shown to all of us.
yeah.
Like you have to go out of your way to not see it rather than go out of your way to see it. Like my parents talked about my dad has talked about it. When you were younger, you had to go to the store, you had to buy like a magazine that had a black cover over it. You had to, like or like sneak your dad's or something like that. Now, you literally just need access to something that has Wi-Fi. Or even not. You just need to have like guys used to
Access
have
a browser.
right. Guys used to have magazines from Victoria's Secret come in. And then, like it went from going to having to buy one to having that access to having, like the tapes to now just you have it at your fingertips. Like
And like school even I feel like encourages it now because they give you computers and they can block that stuff on Google, but you can download a different browser
right.
and then it's not blocked on that.
Right.
Like I've seen people watching that stuff in class. Where it's like
My brother
wow.
said that. He said he walked into a Starbucks one time and there was a guy watching porn, not even facing the wall. He just had his computer out, just watching full on
What the
porn
heck?
without
It's
headphones on.
ridiculous.
He walked into Starbucks and he was like, "What the heck are you doing? I'm trying
That's
to
the other
chill."
thing. If I've ever given if I give my phone to you, I hesitate for a little bit because I don't want you to see that on my phone and be
Right.
like, does he still look at this stuff?
Right.
Like I don't want you to get the wrong idea.
Just because of what
Just
you've
because I
shown
hand you
up.
my phone and you like look through something and it's like
Mhm.
the internet shows you that. So
Yeah, no, it's like promoted. It's like shoved down our throats, and it's horrible. But so we're gonna share some verses, kind of what God says about like loyalty within like if it's loyal or not. So it says Matthew 5:28 says, "But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." So that verse alone literally says that porn is cheating.
Yeah.
That is committing adultery. Looking at a woman lustfully, lust is what it's not love.
It's
not
like only a physical thing.
right. And
It's a
so,
physical-
you might be like, "Oh, it's just physical. I'm not emotionally." But it's like that's polluting and destroying your relationship with your future spouse.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it says whoever looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So whoever has or watches porn is looking at that woman lustfully and is committing adultery with her in his heart.
that one verse that you just said, that's the one that I really stuck on
Yeah,
when I tried stopping.
That really spells it out. Like
Mhm.
that's yeah.
Agreed.
1 John 2:16 says, "For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, comes not from the Father, but from the world." So, as believers, we should not be seeking out anything that comes from the world. We should be seeking out things that please the Lord and bring glory to Him. And like it says, for everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, which is like as humans, the temptation and stuff that's there. The lust of the eyes and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. So.
Oh, if you're trying to quit, definitely don't be scared of deleting social media. I feel like that
Taking a break.
I didn't delete it,
Mhm.
but I feel like it definitely would have made it 10 times easier if I deleted everything.
Yeah, just taking a break from just seeing things for a while.
It's so hard because that's where
yeah.
you connect with your friends now.
Yeah.
Like I
It's-
didn't go
your
biking friends.
your friends, you'll find a way to contact them another
Mhm.
way though. Like there's
It
always
is so
different
hard
ways.
to delete social media, right? Like in this like generation.
Especially if you're
Always
under
fun.
16, if you can't drive,
Yeah.
like if I was under 16, I'm not gonna go bike 20 minutes to go see my friend.
Right. And you just always feel like you're missing out on something.
I'm glad you said social
So-
media because in middle school I deleted Snapchat because I was struggling
Mhm.
with it
Yeah.
deeply. Yeah, Snapchat.
Yeah, the
I didn't even know.
stories.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even know Snapchat would allow that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, stories on Snapchat. Okay, I've had that. I'll be watching like my friend's story, like the people that I'm actually friends with,
Mm.
and then I'll be clicking through it, and then it goes to like some random like YouTuber that's in like
These.
Jamaica, right? Yeah, yes.
You can just scroll and
Like
there's
books look
tons
like
of
that. Yeah. So yeah, it is. It's literally it's like shoved in your face everywhere that you go
It's,
and look and exist.
it's always gonna be there.
Yeah, it's got to be an
Sad.
active. My friend is like so wise about all this stuff, but we were talking about this and just talking about temptation as believers and from like a male's perspective, and he talked about he had went to like kind of like a seminar where they said that the first look is oh my gosh, let me see if I can word this right. Basically the first look is like human nature, like the first look is like natural, and then the second look is a choice. And he said he disagrees. He said that the first look is still a choice because as believers, as men, knowing that you struggle in that area, you should always be consciously looking against that. So he's like, I'm not going to look down if a girl has leggings on. I'm going to know that her butt's probably going to be out, and I'm going to look up. I'm going to choose not to look below her eye level because, like, you know, he talks about, like, just, like, if his girl dash friends have, like, a certain top on, he's not going to, like, he's going to know that they have that on, and he's going to make the conscious effort to not look down. And talking with him about that has been really helpful for me to understand a lot of that stuff as well. And then also understand our role as women, of the men who are trying, like we talked in our
Back to the modesty episode.
We have men who are struggling in an area that is being shoved in their face already. If we as humans, not robots or electronics or ads, can like do what we can to dress modestly and that doesn't mean like you don't need to look boring and ugly. That it's not saying don't be attractive. It's saying don't dress with your body flaunting to get men's attention, because you're going to, and some men don't want to give you that attention. Some men don't want to even have to try to not give you that attention. Like they're already struggling enough. Why would we add struggle to that? Yeah. So that's how modesty.
Help a brother out.
Help a brother out. If you have brothers that also should like hit your heart a little bit too, or a boyfriend or a dad or anything, like just like we're all struggling, and if they're like already having the struggle, like it says, like literally the statistic says it's targeting men. So as women, we should do what we can to help in that area. So yeah. But thank you guys for being on the podcast and for being vulnerable about this. I think this episode went really well. Yeah.
It was very educational for me. I didn't know all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we were able to kind of hear from your guys' perspective.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for listening, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Girl Meets Christ Podcast and our Spotify at Girl Meets Christ Podcast. And then our Instagram is Girl Meets Christ _podcast. And our personal Instagrams is Ella R. Madison and
Eliana Brask.
And all of our socials are linked in our description. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope that this reached who it needed to. And yeah, thank you Tyler and Logan for being on our episode.
Thanks for inviting us.
Of course.
See you next time.
Bye!